day 65 of the Anything Speaking Challenge. So there are a lot of hobbies around the world. Some of them were coming from sports, some of them were coming from, let's say, arts, some of them were coming from the activity of collecting things or stuffs, and etc. And yeah, hobbies are different. My hobby would probably be different with your hobbies. And we use hobby to enjoy time or to be relaxed or let's say spend our free time, and there are hobbies that made people making competition out of it and then just make it broadcasting it on the TV and then met people around the world just watching of the activity like let's say football, let's say badminton, etc. If we are talking about sports that were, considered as hobbies for people. And I remember there was a time when COVID era. So it was an era when people you know, shouldn't be interact with each other and giving space between each other to not be near each other and supposed to stay at home. At that moment in my country, I remember that there was you know, one hobby. There was one hobby that got, let's say, hype at that moment, which was planting or collecting plants. And I like that moment because people here were just collecting plants, which is good because plants could, let's say, produce oxygen, and it's just like I like the idea of watching green stuff, and then it was, you know, related to nature. That's why I like that moment of people who were collecting plants. And yeah, it was good for me. And I remember there was a time when kids were just, back to the, let's say, active activity, which was, let's say, cycling, let's say, doing, um, you know, rollerblading, etc. And I remember kids around my neighborhood were doing that. So they just because they were really borrowing because they couldn't go to school for a very long time, and they didn't like the idea of spend the time only on their gadget and phones. And yeah, there are kids who were provided that by provided with phones by their parents. And I just like it, like the era of, let's say, COVID met people growing, let's say, hobbies instead of stuck in the same activity. Although, like, they could doing for a while and then just change it. But I like the idea of having growing hobbies in the moment where you couldn't do anything but just using your creativity and spending time and enjoy your time. There are times when I really like doing something, but at some point I just stop it, and I experience it myself. Like if you're talking about my hobbies again, my hobbies. It used to be something related to, let's say, sports, because I was quite intrigued to do sport activities because I was aspiring to have a really fit body in a certain way that I felt like, okay, that looks cool, like that body looked cool, and then I would like to have that instead of keep doing eating so much that it made me feel like I gained weight too much, and it felt unhealthy in a certain way. I used to have this kind of, hobbies that related to sports, any hobbies, like let's say doing push up, back up, etc. And it wasn't. I think you couldn't really. I'm not really sure if doing push up or back up or something like that were included in sports, but it was an active activity, right? And then there was a time when I was influenced by people like my old classmate. She was drawing Disney characters, and I was inspired to do the same thing. And it was about hobby. It spread around the world. One hobby could influence people to do the same thing, and it made us drawn to the idea of doing something rather than, let's say, spend uh, your time doing negative things. And this is what I like about hobbies. And it's not something that's, let's say, monotone, or something that just one or two or three. There are a lot of hobbies that we could try to do so that we could really find our, let's say, permanent hobby, and then spending our time in a good way, and let's say in a positive way, and then we would like to doing it. If it's already a let's say permanent hobby, we would like to doing it like daily in a long time. And then perhaps if you have a problem with reducing screen time, it could you know help to reduce your screen time, unless the hobby was related to screen. It will be worse. It will make you worse. I mean, it will make the habit getting worse. And yeah, I don't know if I talk something that um, you would like to hear, but that's what I could say for today, and I hope you enjoy it. Bye.